Alright everybody, I want this series to be the best it can be, and you know what makes everything better? Bacon. Bacon makes everything better. Also angry dancing, but we'll get to that later. Welcome to A Tough Act to Follow. I'm Preston, aka the Ploominator, and I will be your out-of-place teen looking to stir up some trouble by casting the spotlight on the best and brightest stars on the Hollywood dance floor. And as this is the last Tough Act to Follow of 2020, I wanted someone who is unforgettable. So we are talking about a criminally underrated actor who really needs no introduction. A man who's been described as one of the best actors to never get an Oscar nomination. A man who's played every cop, soldier, and FBI agent around. Today we end 2020 by talking about Kevin Bacon. So what is it that makes Kevin Bacon such a memorable performer? Is he just a silly name that makes our taste buds salivate at the mention? Or is he the kind of performer who is an integral part of a balanced cinematic breakfast? Okay, I hear you complaining. I will ease up on the food puns. Sorry. So let's buckle up as we end this year with a bang and talk about why Kevin Bacon is a tough act to follow. Kevin has been in dozens of movie roles across numerous genres and has played so many different characters that there was a whole meme around actor connections that all revolves around Kevin Bacon's existence. For the record, my Bacon number is 3, and I'm fairly proud it's that close. Now, just to get it to 1. But what is it that makes Kevin a steadfast actor who can play numerous characters? Well, for starters, it's because Kevin is an everyman. If you haven't heard that term before, it means that Kevin Bacon has features that make him really seem like any person off the street. He could be your neighbor, your boss, your teacher, etc. Kevin has an ability to be both a leading man and a supporting character, and does so with the depth of a character actor and the charisma of a lead actor. And it's allowed him to navigate far more complex roles than many other actors in Hollywood would ever get to.
Great idea, showing Rourke the river before they ruin it.
That's great.
Kevin is genuine, he's charming, and he's fairly unassuming, but there's something beneath the surface that just doesn't quite seem right, and that's the truth of this whole movie. It's that he's using his ability to seem like a nice normal guy to infiltrate this family and get them to believe he's a genuine person when he's really not. It helps him play these deceptive characters and really works in his favor to make them more interesting than a standard mustache-twirling villain.
Wait! I tried to be nice to you. I tried to be nice to your family. And what do? You try and run out on me. You want to hit me? I'm pulling you down, Tom.
But he doesn't only play villains. Whereas some character actors seem to only get a lot of similar roles, Kevin's are actually wildly diverse and across numerous genres, and he's done so ever since he was young. Right from the start, he used his unconventional looks and focused personality to play characters who are far more layered and deep than they should be on the page. He can take roles that are shallow and make them really deep.
Drugs, and you just seem to be having a lot of trouble since you moved here. And I figured...
You figured where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Usually works like that. Now look, Ren, you know that I would never try to take the place of your father.
Yeah, well, there's no chance of that.
Ren.
While Footloose isn't actually the deepest of movies, the depth of frustration and the demand to be taken seriously that Kevin gives to Ren really makes the role stronger. And while we remember the fun dance moments and the upbeat musical numbers far more than the quiet intimate ones, those are actually the moments where the actors really get a chance to shine, and Kevin shines possibly brighter than anyone else in the movie.
So that you wouldn't think that we were encouraging destruction with this idea. From the oldest of times, people danced for a number of reasons. They danced in prayer, or so that their crops would be plentiful, or so their hunt would be good. And they danced to stay physically fit and show their community spirit.
This monologue is not super well written, but the energy and the nervous nature that Kevin has helps sell it much deeper than it could initially have been taken. And Kevin does this across so many other roles too. He's able to put depth into even the simplest of moments and turn what could be stereotypical characters into real people with fully realized personalities. As I mentioned before, he's played dozens of cops and government agents and military personnel, and instead of making them all the same brash take-charge characters we think of, he gives them a personality outside of their job and allows them to be completely human.
Hey, Danny. Nice work today. Redirect on Barnes.
I have Markinson.
Where is he?
Motel room in Northeast with 6 federal marshals outside his door. Take a sip of your drink. Transfer the marks inside. It's phony. Jessup's statement that the 6 a.m. flight was first available is a lie. We're checking the tower chief's log.
Can I get you some?
I'd like a beer, please. In the meantime, I'm going to put the Apostle John Kendrick on the stand, see if we can't have a little fun.
And sometimes these moments are subtle. As you saw, he does a little flip of a switch when he realizes that Dan isn't interested in being congenial, but just wants to talk business. And he knows how to read the energy that Tom Cruise is bringing to the scene and play off of it. It's a negotiation. And that really makes the scene more interesting. It's because Kevin plays off his fellow actors. He knows how to feed off their energy, and he really takes them to places that they didn't intend to go when the scene started. He does this brilliantly. Even when he's not speaking directly to them, he knows how to influence them.
But you just said that you didn't make it back to the Windward Barracks until 1645.
Sir?
Well, if you didn't make it back to the barracks until 1645, how could you be in your room at 1620?
Well, you see, sir, there was a blowout.
Private, did you ever actually hear Lieutenant Kendrick order a code red?
Well,
And his ability to influence those around him and dive deep into the roles is what makes him such a dynamic force. But beyond that is his ability to live in the moment. I think I've talked about this briefly before. We often see actors, especially bad ones, playing towards the end of a scene or the end of a movie. Obviously, if we're working off a full script, we know the outcome. We know who wins, loses, lives, dies, etc. But to make the scene real, we can't know the whole truth until it comes out. We don't have arguments knowing who wins, we don't make negotiations knowing if a deal will be accepted, and we don't know anything until it happens. And that is something Kevin does so well. He plays in the moment and evolves naturally as the character goes forward in the story. Let's take one specific example from Stir of Echoes. Here he's just seen some things that he doesn't quite understand.
How's your hand?
What do you mean?
Dude, I stuck a safety pin in your hand and asked you to bleed on one side, but not the other.
Which I can't believe you did.
You were very cooperative. It was a side of you I hadn't seen before.
That happened.
You said it didn't
The hell
hurt.
with the pin. I want to know more about Joey Luca.
Oh, don't.
Who?
That's me.
Joey Luca was a kid who used to pound the shit out of you when you were 12.
Now Kevin the actor likely read the script and knows where the movie's headed, but Tom, the character he's playing in the movie, is confused and scared by what he's seen because he doesn't understand it. And we the audience believe that. It's not until later as the mystery reveals itself that we start to learn the truth along with Tom and watch as his confusion turns into a devout belief. And it's this ability to live in the moment that really makes his work dynamic. We don't know where the story might go because neither does the character. And Kevin has a knack for being really invested in the journey rather than the destination. It allows him to take characters who should be really unlikable and hard to come to terms with and make them people that we understand and sympathize with. Because they don't get played as stereotypes and pure evil. They get played as humans who are flawed and are working to justify what's happening to them.
What, you got something to hide?
Doesn't everybody?
Have a seat. I could get a search warrant.
Yeah, if you could get a search warrant, you would have brought one today.
This movie tackles some seriously intense subject matter, but not in a way that ever seems preachy. And it's very human and simple, and it's partly because Kevin is really looking for redemption in the role. He's playing someone who would be seen as irredeemable, and makes himself someone who we actually kind of feel bad for. And especially when he realizes that his own past has harmed more people than he initially thought, he has to learn to not only forgive himself, but work to better those around him in the process. And he goes through that journey remarkably.
Walter, what did you do while taking naps with your sister?
Nothing.
Did you touch her? Did you take her clothes off? You take your clothes
Oh,
off?
this is bullshit.
I'm only asking questions.
All right, I'm gonna tell you just to shut you up. I smelled her hair.
So why do people love Kevin Bacon? 1. Kevin is an everyman. His ability to look and feel like someone you know and see every day allows him to move between a wide variety of roles and carry each of them with the same care and dedication, while never being typecast or forced into specific roles over and over. 2. Kevin goes deep with his characters. He feels everything on a level far beneath the surface and lets the characters' experiences define each and every one of their choices. But he never just feels the emotion. Each action has a justification that helps him make it both deep and believable. 3. Kevin can negotiate. He reads the other actors in the scene and changes his actions based on their reactions to what he says. And in doing so, he changes the way that they react to him as well. Continuing this pattern, he manages to control scenes and add interesting and complex relationships to already complex stories. 4. Kevin lives in the moment. He plays the moments of the story as they happen and never goes beyond them until the story allows. Rather than playing the ending or assuming control of the story early, he lets the changes to his characters occur naturally and influence his choices as the story progresses. 5. Kevin can earn our sympathy. Even when playing a character who in any other movie would be seen as vile or horrendous, Kevin can make them and their story seem so justified and resonant that they earn our sympathy, even when they don't fully redeem the character in the story. So you've heard the good news, and now you're looking to add more bacon to your movie diet, right? Well, let me serve you up a 5-course meal of fantastic films. These are my 5 essential Kevin Bacon performances. 1. The River Wild. This movie, while being somewhat melodramatic, allows Kevin to really excel as a two-faced character and show just how charming he can be, but also how sinister, while justifying each action and keeping our eyes peeled to the screen. 2. Footloose. Kevin's performance in this movie is surprisingly down to earth considering how silly certain moments in the movie are, and the soundtrack, dance scenes, and character work really make a fun, nostalgic watch wrapped around a great Kevin Bacon performance. 3. A Few Good Men. One of the most realistic courtroom dramas ever put to screen, this movie has a strong cast and great moments. Kevin stands out as this antagonistic but ultimately good person in the role that is opposing counsel to the trial at hand, and the continued back and forth between him and Tom Cruise is fantastic to watch. 4. Stir of Echoes. This horror thriller mystery really gives an interesting turn for Kevin as he tries to come to terms with the horrifying visions he's seen that are leading him to discover a true horror that has happened in his home months earlier. Watching him wrestle with this mystery and his own sanity is fascinating to watch. 5. The Woodsman. Content warning, this movie does deal with pedophilia, and because of that, we watch as Kevin Bacon plays a man looking to atone for his own sins and better himself while struggling against those urges. It's a very human look at a character who in many other contexts would be seen as a stereotype, and Kevin plays it beautifully. And that is why Kevin Bacon is a tough act to follow. Thanks for watching, everybody. What are your favorite Kevin Bacon roles? What movies were you looking forward to this past year? What's your Bacon number? Who would you like to see me tackle going into 2021? Comment below and let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you don't, I'm gonna have to start the new year with angry dancing, and I don't want to do that. And if you really like what I'm doing here, help me continue to do it by going over to my Patreon page and supporting me. Shout out to the patrons who've already given. Thanks, Mom. And if you want to see more clues into your favorite film stars, be sure to subscribe because you don't want to miss out on a single one. Thanks again for watching this and every video this year, and until next time, as I always say, thanks for taking the time to get Ploominated.